What is going on? It's Fantasy Football Sacko's no Jason this week. He is out in Vegas, so it's just me, Alex Krogh, bringing you the Week 3 waivers. A little bit different show this week. Not a whole lot to talk about. I would not spend any fab on any players in Week 3, but still I'm going to run them down real quick just so that we can deliver that top content that our subscribers crave and want year-round. So here we are, Week 3. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, leave comments, make fun of me. It's all good. Doesn't matter. So here we are. Week 3, not a whole lot to talk about. Darrel Williams is probably the top target, but he wasn't even that great from he did not separate himself all that much from Eno Benjamin this past week. We thought that Eno Benjamin was probably going to be the backup, and it turns out once James Conner hopefully escaped serious injury, that Darrel Williams and Eno Benjamin kind of split time. So Darrel Williams, once Conner went out, played 56% of the snaps. Eno Benjamin played 48. Williams had 47% of the rushing attempts. Eno Benjamin had 35. Williams ran 48% of the routes, and Benjamin ran 41. It's a pass-happy offense. I get it that you want starting running backs. I do too. I don't think there's a ton of upside here. Kyler Murray is potentially going to end up their goal line back. Rondale Moore looks like he'll hopefully be healthy here soon. So it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening in this backfield. But I personally don't want any part of it. I just no thanks. I get putting 0 bids in. I wouldn't waste a waiver spot if you don't have fab. So I'm out on that backfield. Other people to talk about: the Dolphins backfield. Raheem Mostert, the ghost of. He'll be great until he gets hurt at some point. You know it's coming. So it kind of looked like a running back by committee after Chase Edmonds looked like he was going to be the guy the first week. Here comes Mostert. So Mostert played 55% of the snaps. Edmonds played 51. Mostert ran 47% of the routes. Edmonds ran 47% of the routes. Mostert had 61% of the rushing attempts, while Edmonds only had 28. 2-minute offense, Edmonds played every snap. Long distance, so I believe that's over 6 or 8 yards. Edmonds was in on 75% of those snaps versus Mostert being 25%. Short down distance, it was 50-50. This is a clear split. Again, if Tua is going to throw 6 touchdowns every week, then okay, that's great. But we do know that Mike McDaniel likes to run the ball, so we will see what ends up happening in that backfield. Again, I think it's a 0 bid. We don't know how healthy he's going to be, but still, Mostert is one of the fastest players in the NFL when he is healthy. So that basically does it for running backs. As far as wide receivers go, a couple guys. Garrett Wilson, he's owned in just about 70% of leagues, 69.8. So 2 touchdowns this past week. Looked all right. Looked to be Joe Flacco's favorite target in New York. So you can go out and get him. I get maybe spending a little bit of fab on him if he is available. Because there is a rookie wide receiver that ends up popping. So far, he kind of looks like the best one of the bunch. And game script is going to fit the Jets, right? They're going to be behind. They're going to throw. Even when Flacco isn't the quarterback and the MILF Slayer comes back, I think it'll be okay for Garrett Wilson. A couple other players. Michael Gallup, he's owned in 44% of leagues. He looks like he's going to be healthy. I know you might not want Cooper Rush. I totally understand that, to be throwing him the ball, but he should still be added in that league if he's available. Rondale Moore is owned in 25.4% of leagues. He's a gadget guy, has more value in PPR leagues, so potentially should be added as well. Sterling Shepard had 10 targets, owned in 10% of leagues for the Giants. If you're rostering Kadarius Toney or Kenny Golladay, I would drop them to pick up Sterling Shepard. Those guys are just not getting it done at this point. Nelson Aguilar had 6 targets, caught all of them for 110 yards. He is the Patriots' deep threat, but it should be noted that Jacoby Myers is their best wide receiver by a long, big margin. Kendrick Bourne's there. I get it. Please target Jacoby Myers in the red zone. Ashton Doolin was fine for the Colts with no Michael Pittman Jr. A couple other guys. Tight ends. Tyler Higbee has 11 targets, 9 targets. He's owned in 65% of leagues. he should be added. He was looked really great, and don't forget he had that stretch at the end of the year a couple years ago where he was basically like a top 5 wide receiver. So if teams could figure out how to stop Cooper Kupp and allocate more resources there, and Allen Robinson looked all right. Tyler Higbee, lots of targets, on pace for 170. That's pretty great. Gerald Everett for I always want to say San Diego, but the Los Angeles Chargers. He's owned in 30% of leagues. He had 10 targets, especially with Keenan Allen not playing. He kind of looked like he was the go-to guy instead of Mike Williams, or if they weren't throwing to Mike Williams on Thursday Night Football. So if Keenan Allen's not playing, I would advocate for starting Gerald Everett unless you have one of those top 4 or 5 tight ends. And a deep sleeper, Evan Ingram, owned in 16.6% of leagues, was tight end 12 at least prior to the Monday night game starting. He had 8 targets this week. Historically, Doug Peterson's offense have targeted tight ends 30% of the time, maybe a little bit more if you think back to the Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert days when Doug Peterson was there. So Evan Ingram looks to be developing a nice rapport with Trevor Lawrence. So that's it. It sucks if you have a Dak injury or a Trey Lance injury. Definitely scour the waiver wire for quarterbacks. I'm sure that there will be one available for you, so I won't go into them all that much. Anyway, that basically does it for week 3 waivers. There's not a whole lot to talk about this week. I would not spend any fab. If you don't have fab and have waiver spots, I would not advocate for spending your waiver spot this week. So a whole lot of nothing to talk about this week. If you have not already, please subscribe, get our notifications, leave comments, tell me how terrible this was. Hopefully Jason will be back next week. Recording live for the first time on YouTube, always exciting. So thank you for hopping on. Good luck in week 3.